Good day, sir. My name is Elmira Bala, and I will discuss my chosen countries in comparative education. These are Sierra Leone as underdeveloped country, China as developing country, and Spain as developed country. Geography of Sierra Leone, China and Spain. So the first one is Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone is located on the west coast of Africa between the 7th and 10th parallel north of the equator. Sierra Leone is bordered by Guinea to the north and northeast, Liberia to the south and southeast, and the Atlantic Ocean to the west. The country has a total number or area of 71,740 kilometers squared, divided into land area of 71,620 kilometers squared, and a water of 120 kilometers squared. Two-thirds of the population of Sierra Leone are directly involved in subsistence agriculture. Agriculture accounted for 58% of gross domestic product in 2007. Agriculture is the largest employer with 80% of the population working in the sector. Rice is the most important staple crop in Sierra Leone, with 85% of farmers cultivating rice during the rainy season, and an annual consumption of 76 kilograms per person. Rich in minerals, Sierra Leone has relied on mining, especially diamonds, for its economic base. The country is among the top 10 diamond-producing countries. Mineral exports remain the main currency earner. Sierra Leone is a major producer of gem-quality diamonds. Though rich in diamonds, it has historically struggled to manage their exploitation and export. Geography of China. So this is the flag and the map of China. Stretching 3,100 miles from east to west and 3,400 miles from north to south, China is the large country with widely varying landscape. Its territory includes mountains, high plateaus, sandy deserts, and dense forests. One-third of China's land area is made up of mountains. The tallest mountain on Earth, Mount Everest, sits in the border between China and Nepal. China has thousands of rivers. The Yangtze River and the Yellow Rivers are the most important. At 3,900 miles, 915 miles long, the Yangtze is the world's third largest river. China's diverse habitats are home to hundreds of species of animals and plants. More than 3,800 species of fish and hundreds of amphibians and reptile species live in rivers, lakes, and coastal waters. China's forest wildlife is threatened by logging and clear-cutting of farmland. Expanding deserts in north also shrink animal habitats. The Chinese government has created more than 1,200 reserves to protect the plant and animal species. China is the home of the world's oldest civilizations, but it has only recently become a modern nation. In the last 20 years, China has changed faster than any other countries in the world. Ancient China was a land of invention for centuries. For centuries, China was way ahead of other countries in science and technology, astronomy, and math. The Chinese invented paper and the magnetic compass, printing, porcelain, silk, and gunpowder, among other things. Geography of Spain. This is the map of Spain and its flag. Most of the Spain's national territory is located on Iberian Peninsula, situated in southeast west corner of Europe. However, Canary Islands and Balearic Islands, few smaller islands in the city of Ceuta and Melilla in North Africa are also territories of Spain. Covering an area of 506,030 square kilometers, Spain is among the 50th largest countries in the world. The mainland territories cover an area of 493,514 square kilometers. The Balearic Islands covered 4,992 square kilometers. The Canary Islands covered 7,492 square kilometers, and the cities of Ceuta and Melilla covered 32 square kilometers. The geological history of Iberian Peninsula has given rise to mountains, forming the large chains that surround a high inland plateau situated at over 600 meters above average sea level. As a result of this geography, the peninsula is characterized by a rich variety of unique enclaves and natural environments. If there is one characteristic that differentiates the surface of the peninsula from the rest of Europe, it's clearly the diversity. Strain involves saying, due to its geographic location, Spain is influenced by two very different bodies of water: the vast and open Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea, whose only physical connection to the former is a narrow channel called the Straits of Gibraltar, which permits exchange of water between the two masses of very different salinity and temperature. The Spanish coastline is 5,755 kilometers long. Historical background of education. So the first one is Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone, in the earliest form of education in Sierra Leone, can be traced back to the traditional learning methods of the indigenous people. Before the arrival of Europeans, education in Sierra Leone was primarily focused on practical skills and knowledge such as farming, hunting, and traditional medicine. However, with the arrival of European missionaries in the 19th century, the education landscape in Sierra Leone began to change. The missionaries established schools that focused on religious teaching and basic literacy skills. These schools were mainly for the children of the elite, were not accessible to the majority of the population. In the early 20th century, the British colonial government took over the educational system in Sierra Leone. They introduced the most structured and formal education system, which with a focus on academic subjects such as English, mathematics, and science. This system was designed to produce a small number of educated individuals who could serve as clerks and interpreters for the colonial administration. However, this education system was still limited to the small percentage of the population, mainly the children of the elite. The majority of the population, especially in rural areas, had little to no access to education. This led to the significant disparity in educational opportunities and outcomes between the urban and the rural areas. In the 1950s, with the rise of nationalism and a push for independence, there was a growing demand for education reform in Sierra Leone. The government responded by introducing free primary education in 1956, making it accessible to all children regardless of their social and economic background. This was a significant step towards democratizing education in Sierra Leone. After gaining independence in 1961, the government of Sierra Leone made education a top priority. They invested heavily in building schools and training teachers, with a focus on expanding access to education for all. This led to the significant increase in enrollment rates, particularly at the primary level. In the 1970s, the government introduced a new education policy that aimed to provide a more relevant and practical education for students. This policy emphasized vocational and technical education, with the goal of producing a skilled workforce to support the country's economic development. However, the education system in Sierra Leone faced significant challenges in the 1980s and 1990s due to the political instability and economic downturns. This led to the decline in quality of education. with inadequate funding and resources for school and teachers. As a result, many students dropped out of school and education suffered. In early 2000, with the end of civil war and the return of stability, the government of Sierra Leone made efforts to revitalize educational system. They introduced a new policies and program to improve the quality of education, increase access, and address disparities between urban and rural areas. Historical background of education in China. Historically, formal education was a privilege for the rich, mastering classical Chinese, which consisted of different written and spoken versions of and lacked an alphabet, required time and resources most Chinese could not afford. As a result, for much of this history, China had an extremely high rate of illiteracy, which is 80%. The result was a nation mass illiteracy dominated by a bureaucratic elite highly educated in Confucian classical tradition. The earliest modern government schools were created to provide education in subjects of Western strength, such as sciences, engineering, and military developments to address Western incursion and maintain the integrity of China's own culture and policy. The aim of these schools was to modernize technology by imitating the West, while maintaining all the traditional aspects of Chinese culture. These schools were never integrated into civil service examination system. In 1898, Emperor Guangxu, supported by Kang Yue and Liang Qixiao, well-known reformers, issued a series of decrees to initiate sweeping reforms in Chinese education. The measures included the establishment of a system of modern schools accessible to the greater majority of the population, abolition of rigid examination system for the selection of government officials, and introduction of short and practical essay examination. Between 1901 and 1905, the King Court issued a new series of education reform decrees. The old academies that had supported the civil service examination were recognized. A modern school system was built on the foundation with primary, secondary, and college levels reflective of Western models. Schools throughout China were organized into three major stages and 7 levels. Elementary education was composed of kindergarten, lower elementary, and higher elementary. Secondary education consisted of middle school, and higher education was divided into preparatory school, specialized college, and university. King Court also instructed provincial, prefectural, and country governments to open a new schools and start a compulsory education. 6 years later, China's dynastic tradition also came to an end when a new nationalist republic replaced it. With these political metamorphoses, China's educational system experienced further transformations. The search for the modern nationhood and economic prosperity created the first golden age of education in modern China. Education in China enjoyed a rare interval of uninterrupted growth as the Beijing government enthusiastically pursued an educational development in both the public and private sectors as an essential component of nationalist nation-building program. In 1912 and 1913, the Republic issued the regulations concerning public and private schools and regulations concerning private and universities. These documents laid out the criteria for the private schools and stipulated proper application and registration procedures, while calling for the financial investment in education nationwide. The eruption of Sino-Japanese War in 1937 and rapid Japanese conquest of the coastal areas in the months immediately following changed in the education situation dramatically. As a result of military operations, 70% of Chinese cultural institutions were destroyed. By November 1, 1937, no less than 24 institutions of higher learning had been bombed and demolished by the Japanese. 77 of Chinese institutions higher learning were either closed down or literally uprooted and moved many hundreds of miles into the interior. Not all the students could follow their respective universities. As a result, the retaining rate of their original student bodies for this institution ranged from 25 to 75%. The subsequent civil war in 1946 to 1949 between the nationalists and the communists continued to subject China to the state of political turmoil in which education suffered drastically as a result. After the founding of People's Republic of China, the new communist government pursued a movement to learn from Soviet Union with all the enthusiasm that had characterized the Western imitation process in earlier decades. The entire national education system was first recognized to confirm the Soviet model in 1952 to 1953. American-style liberal arts colleges were abolished, with arts and science facilities separated from the larger universities to form the core of Soviet-style Zhonghe or comprehensive universities. About 12 of these were formed, in more or less even distribution around the country. The remaining disciplines of the old universities were recognized into separate technical colleges or merged with existing specialized institutes. Also, the following Soviet example: national unified teaching plans, syllabi, materials, and textbooks were introduced for every academic specialty or major. The Great Leap Forward for 1958 introduced educational reform as a part of a comprehensive new strategy of mass mobilization for economic development to end in continuing influence of such pre-revolutionary ideas as education can only be led by experts, and the separation of mental and manual labor, as well as to strengthen party leadership. The Ministry of Education issued the directive on September 19, 1958, launching the educational reforms. It called universities to fill both academic and administrative leadership positions with party members. Productive labor became a part of curriculum in all schools at the levels. More specifically, the half of work, half study schools were founded to meet this task of rapidly universalizing education for the masses. Since these schools could be run on self-supporting basis without financial aid from the state. The party directive also stipulated that no professional education staff was necessary. Anyone who could teach would suffice. The Cultural Revolution further broke the power of existing educational bureaucracy, the professional academics, and the party leaders who supported them. This represented a final abolition of the obstacles the Chinese intellectuals established had always imposed against radical reform of the education system as a whole. It ended the authority of education professional, which led to the general lowering of academic standards, particularly in higher education. As a result of experimentation in that area, the content of college curricula on an average was reduced by half. The policy of sending city youth to rural areas to be re-educated by peasants also produced many millions of dissatisfied young people who failed to adapt to rural lifestyles. After the death of Mao Zedong, Deng Xiaoping's reform period began, with the major national education conference in April 1978, which abandoned the Cultural Revolution's goals of class struggle and adaptive modernization as a main goal for education development. The nation witnessed a remarkable new era of rapid reconstruction and expansion of all levels of education, especially higher education, in both the formal and non-formal sectors. One of the prerequisites for all the officials, including country-level leaders. This is goal yet to be accomplished in the 21st century, but it is also already underway in the political reintegration of China's intellectuals within the ruling class. The scene in higher education in the PRC has changed rapidly in 1990s, with increasing drive to modernize China by integrating free market forces. The government has introduced radical new reforms to revitalize education. The most recent reforms include introduction of student fees, abolition of guaranteed job assignment for after graduation, localization of institutions, and development of private education institutions. Next is historical background of education in Spain. In 19th century, illiteracy in Spain had been on the decline. It was estimated that during 1860 and 1900 it was between 75 and 63%. It had decreased at an important rate to about 15% in 1950s. The highest rate of illiteracy was found in rural areas among women. Romans brought their system of education to Spain, as it flourished as in all parts of Roman Empire. It usually started with the education of children in the family by parents and relatives or tutors. Fathers frequently educated their sons by using paternal precepts or the precepta paterna. It was often the case that private tutors from distant lands, at times slaves, were also used to educate children. Higher education also flourished in Spain from period of the late Republic onwards. Many famous orators, poets, political figures, philosophers, and educators came from Roman Spain. During the 15th century, Western and Southern Europe experienced large-scale invasions by the Visigoths. Germanic peoples from the north of Europe more formalized with monastic schools. In the Islamic period, Moorish invaders overran Visigothic Spain at beginnings of 18th century. During the second half of the 19th century and in the 10th century, important Islamic academies were founded in the Muslim Spain, especially in the city of Cordoba. In these academies, education originated mostly from the close studies of the commentaries of Quran and philology. Muslims, Spanish-speaking Ibero-Roman Visigoths, and Spanish Jews shared in each other's educational traditions. At the beginning of the Middle Ages, Judaism developed its own system of education. Spanish Jews, known as Sephardi, were strongly influenced by Islamic education, though and thus changed their areas of focus to include philosophical, scientific, and linguistic subjects. During the 15th century, Renaissance humanism spread from Italy to Spain. 18th century, the period of reform. During this time, education in Spain was dismal state. Some Spaniards had read about the critics of the education in the writings of Rousseau, as well as the writings of Spanish intellectuals such as Father Benito Peju and Luis Antonio Verne. In early 19th century were similar to those in 18th century. The educational thought of M. Quintana and Gil Zarate sought to free Spanish educational institutions from restrictions of the past. Basic education reform had to be restructured into new government offices. In 1874, after the brief period of republic efforts, the monarchy was restored. The education fell into a constant battle between the liberals and conservatives. The political instability of this period can also be seen in the many attempts at the reforms in areas of secondary and higher education. With the incoming of Second Republic in 1931, a new constitution brought new important educational reforms, including the call of free compulsory primary education, academic freedom, and non-religious instruction. One of the first attempts at reform, which came from after the establishment of new constitution, was the Organic Law of 1980, which, while short-lived, laid the foundation of the University Reform Law in 1983. This reform established the basis for the Organic Law and General Organization of the Education System in 1990 and subsequent Organic Law on Participation, which characterized the basic nature and structure of Spanish education at the beginning of the 21st century. Aims of education. So number one, the aim of Sierra Leone is to provide equity in education by enforcing the policy of non-discrimination in all schools, as well as ensuring the similarity of standards and quality education for all children regardless of where they attend to school. Second is develop children's relevant skills, attitudes, and values that will enable them to effective and responsible citizens. Aims of education in China. Education aims to provide a guided and structured academic understanding that promotes students' holistic development and underpins political, civic, and economic purposes. Aims of education of Spain. The objective is to give Spanish students a common, solid education in culture, oral expression, reading, writing, and math. In general, the teaching methodology focuses on students' cognitive and social development. Administration of education. Present educational system. Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone is a multilingual country. English is the de facto official language. The Creole is the most widely spoken. Although English as official language is spoken in schools, government administration, in the media, Creole is spoken as lingua franca in virtually all parts of Sierra Leone. The Sierra Leone Civil War resulted in the destruction of 1,270 primary schools in 2001, or the 67% of all school-age children were out of school. So this is the present system of primary, secondary, and higher education in Sierra Leone. In the new 6-3-3-4 system of education, the first 6 years consist of primary education followed by 3 years of junior secondary education for all primary school graduates. This 6-3 block, a total of 9 years, make up the formal part of basic education. At the end of junior secondary school, students take the basic education certificate examination which, together with the continuous assessment profiles, determines whether they will continue the education at general, especially senior secondary schools, or proceed to the technical and vocational schools of varying course, content, and duration. Students in senior secondary schools at the end of the program takes the International Senior Secondary Certificate Examination in competition with other students in English-speaking West Africa. The West African Examination Council is responsible for conducting this examination. Students who pass this exam and met the requirements for the University of Sierra Leone may continue their formal education for 4 years at the first degree. Students in junior secondary schools who are technically and vocational tracks may, upon graduation, enter the workforce or continue their formal education in technical vocational institute. In the effort to properly monitor the standard and quality of education and improve retention, the new system has introduced continuous assessment. This system of continuous assessment also facilitates effective guidance and counseling of students, besides being part of the terminal examination grades in various examinations at different levels. The basic education program include non-formal education for dropouts from school and children, and adults who did not have the opportunity to go to school, also to compensate for the chronic neglect of women's education. The new system will encourage positive discrimination in favor of women in basic education. So this is China. Present system of education in China. First is primary education. In China, primary school education is compulsory and it lasts 6 years. Children start schools at the age of 6, is 7 in some areas. The language of instruction is Mandarin Chinese, the exemption of primary schools that mainly admit ethnic minority students. In order to graduate, all students are required to pass the graduation examination in past subjects of Chinese and mathematics. The examinations are normally designed and administered by schools with guidance from local education authorities. Students move on to 3-year junior, lower secondary schools after graduating from primary schools. Middle education. Junior lower secondary education lasts 3 years following the completion of primary school. In order for students to obtain certificate of graduation, students are required to pass graduation examination and meet minimum physical education standards. The graduation examinations are designed and administered by individual schools according to guidelines set by the provincial education bureaus or by local education authorities. Secondary education. After completion of junior lower secondary school, student can choose to enter general or academic senior secondary school or vocational senior secondary school. General senior secondary school lasts 3 years. And vocational senior secondary school lasts 3 to 4 years. Or senior secondary school is known as Kaohsiung and vocational senior secondary school is known as Zhongshuan in China. Students wishing to continue their study in general academic track must pass the entrance examination for general secondary senior secondary schools, which is also known as Zhongkao in China. Designed and administered by provincial education authorities, the entrance examination includes the same subjects as the junior secondary graduation examination. At the end of the final school year, graduates of senior secondary school seeking admission to post-secondary education are required to take the National Higher Examination or National Higher Education Entrance Examination, also called the National College Entrance Examination, commonly known as Gaokao in China. Vocational education in China. Vocational education programs are offered at both the secondary and post-secondary levels. Vocational senior secondary schools provide subject and occupation-specific education and training. Vocational senior secondary education is highly employment-oriented and graduates normally enter the workforce. Higher technical or vocational education is available at Zhuangqi level, which requires 2 to 3 years of full-time post-secondary study. It is possible for graduates of higher vocational education programs at the Zhuangqi level to obtain a Bengqi degree or bachelor's degree certificate through an upgrading program, but in limited number of fields. Vocational higher education institutions are currently administered by provincial level. Tertiary education. Higher education is provided by institutions of various types including general and technical universities, specialized institutions, professional universities and military institutions, medical schools and colleges, and independent colleges, and other or adult higher education institutions of various types. Entry to university depends primarily on how well the students perform the entrance examinations. Students with outstanding academic performance in their secondary schools can also possibly granted an exemption from the entrance examination and be recommended directly to the university of their choice through a method called Baozhong. In addition, some private institutions are exempted from NCEE, Gaokao, and accept all students who can afford the tuition fees. Prestigious universities maintain higher admission standards, therefore require higher NCEE scores than other institutions. Entry to the higher education in China is highly competitive. So this is the summary for the present educational system of China. Present educational system in Spain. Schooling in Spain is state-funded and compulsory between the ages of 3 and 16. However, parents and legal guardians must pay for books, materials, and sometimes uniforms for their children. Generally speaking, there are 3 categories for Spanish schools in Spanish education system. Public schools, which are mostly state-funded, private schools, which are privately funded, and semi-private schools, which are funded partially by the state and partially by private sources. Once the required schooling is finished, a student can then opt to continue studying in their secondary schools or move on to the vocational school for intermediate vocational training. Only those who finish bachillerato or higher vocational training can be admitted to a university. Post-education or post-16 education. Spanish baccalaureate or bachillerato consists of 2 optional additional final years in high school, which is the mandatory education until students are 16 years old, required if the student wants to attend university. Once the students have finished bachillerato, they can take the university entrance exam, popularly called as selectividad. Selectividad is composed of 2 parts, the general section, which is mandatory for everyone, and the specific section, which consists of focus topics based on students' academic interests and it's theoretically optional. Selectividad is scored out of 14 points and students' grade average, and this score is then used to calculate students' overall grade point average. In fact, 60% of this overall score is composed based on the student's GPA in bachillerato, and 40% of the score is based on selectividad grade. First year baccalaureate is 11th grade and second year baccalaureate is 12th grade. Vocational education. There are 3 levels of education for professional skills acquisition besides the university education. These levels are Formación Profesional Básica or FPB, Basic Vocational Education, Ciclo Formativo de Grado Medio or CFGM, Medium Level Vocational Education, which can be studied after the secondary education. The Ciclo Formativo de Grado Superior or CFGS, Higher Level Vocational Education, which can be studied after the post-16 education. There are 26 groups for these degrees and they include them by professional areas. 18 courses can be studied in FPB and 62 CFGM and 90 in CFGS. School administration funds. Sierra Leone is one of the poorest countries in the world with literacy level of 51%. The government has officially abolished school fees. However, families still have to cover various education-related costs for their children. 9-year compulsory education in China. In China, enables students to over 6 years old nationwide to have free education, both primary schools, grade 1 to 6, and junior secondary schools, grade 7 to 9. The policy is funded by the government. The tuition is free. Schools still charge miscellaneous fees. Senior secondary schools, grade 10 to 12, and college education are not compulsory and free in China. Both primary and secondary education are mandatory and free in Spain. However, the books and other supplies are not subsidized and must be paid for by each student. Public schools. In Spain, schools run directly by the public authorities and private with public assistance provide education free of charge, but depending on the family's financial status. Parents may be required to supply consumables such as textbooks and school uniforms, as well as to contributing to after-school activities. Public schools 6 to 12 years old are called Centro de Educación Infantil y Primaria, colloquially Colegio de Col, and secondary public schools, which is 12 to 16 years old, are called Instituto de Enseñanza Secundaria, colloquially Instituto. Public state schools in Spain are free. In private schools in Spain vary. Some of the schools teach entirely in Spanish. Some are run as Catholic schools. Some are private and bilingual or trilingual, and some are international schools, which place emphasis on second language, generally in English. Private schools that are state subsidized are required to follow the Spanish syllabus, while international schools are free to follow the curriculums typically from other countries such as US and UK. Private schools tend to be more costly, especially in Barcelona or Madrid. Fees include tuition as well as school supplies and uniform. So that ends my report. Thank you so much.